Alrighty, today we are going to be talking about something pretty different from what I normally talk about on the channel. We're going to be talking about Taylor Lautner. He actually has a podcast that he does with his wife, and they recently did an episode where he talks a little bit about his past in the Twilight film. So if you don't know, I'm assuming most of you do, but Taylor Lautner, he played Jacob Black in the Twilight films, and he was in these films from about 16 to 18, 19 years old, I think. And he dealt with a lot of Jacob was almost boiled down to guy with abs and buff guy, that is also a werewolf at times. But I wasn't like a huge fan of the Twilight movies. I think I saw them when I was younger, but I wasn't like a huge diehard fan where I was like Team Jacob or Team Edward, or I was, I watched them, but it wasn't a huge thing for me. But he does this podcast with his wife, and he talks about feeling like objectified, but just like feeling the pressure of being this heartthrob at 16 to 18 years old, these really developmental years. And it's just very interesting, and I feel like they do a really good job of him sharing his experience. And while obviously I can't relate, and I feel like most people can't relate to his exact what he's going through, I feel like they were able to connect it to a lot of things that a lot of us can relate to. So without further ado, let's just get into it. This is the podcast right here. It's called The Squeeze, and we're going to start about 18 minutes in because what they're talking about before, it just doesn't really make sense for this video. But yeah, let's just get into it.
I want to talk just about this part of body image, because when we hear mental health and then when we hear the subdivision of body image, we immediately think of females. And how they struggle with their looks.
I like that she brings this up because it is something that I talk about too. Is like it's not brought up for men very much. I think there's reasons for that. We're not getting into it, but it is something that I feel like more men should talk about, and I feel like it's something that men don't talk about super often.
People with the plastic surgery, the blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But a lot of men.
I mean, he looks great, by the way. Like I feel like he looks really, really good.
Struggle with their body image. And you literally having your identity in your abs, for lack of a better term.
Still can convert you over to my team.
But seriously, you literally, for 16, 17, 18 years old, you were known for how you looked.
And like, this is true. Like I have this clip, kind of queued up where like this is an interview that he did with Access Hollywood back in that time, and knowing what we know now, it's just like it just seems a little cringy. We're gonna watch it.
How many pounds of muscles you put on? You're ripped. I can't believe it.
Well, let's see. I think it was a few weeks ago. I had put on 20 pounds. I started working out the day after I finished filming Twilight because I knew it was a necessity for the character. So I put on 20 pounds, and then I guaranteed, this was a couple weeks ago, I guaranteed 10 more pounds, and I've already put on about 6.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Oh snap!
How many?
Remember, he's like what, 16, 17 here? Like, oh my God.
That's crazy.
I'm not sure. I don't know how many inches around, but
it gets worse.
I'm hoping it's paying off because it took a lot of hard work. So I'm trying to get him up there. Seeing, possibly. I like going like this. Oh.
And you got a sixer going too?
What's
So he said you got a 6-pack going too, right?
that?
You got a six-pack?
Maybe a little.
Let's see what we got.
Oh.
My goodness. You're gonna make a lot of women go crazy.
All right.
I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like I see, so the interview says you're going to make a lot of women go crazy, and it feels like he just was like, ooh, that's not why I'm doing it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. We'll watch it one more time.
A lot of women go crazy.
All right. I'm excited. So I tried to enhance Jacob Black's body, and by putting on 26 pounds so far, and I got 4 more to go, and I'm gonna go above and beyond that. I'm ready.
So that's the clip. I just wanted to share that to kind of, I don't know, for those of you that might not remember, or just to kind of a refresher. I'm sure most of you guys remember exactly kind of how it was. It was crazy. Like, it was like they were the biggest. It was the biggest movie, for tweens, in the early 2000s. Like, it was huge.
Yeah.
at such a young age, and you're still developing, you're still learning who you are.
Yeah.
This is a large question, but like, how have you noticed, because I've seen how it's affected you firsthand, and I've seen you overcome that hugely. Is there a short answer to put how that affected you? Did you realize it affected you until you grew up? Or
Yeah.
because I know this is a long answer because we've been together for 5 years and we've talked about that for 5 years, and we have 45 minutes, but is there a short answer to that?
So the answer is no. I definitely, when I was in it, when I was 16 through 20 years old, you know, starring in this franchise where my character's known for taking his shirt off every other second.
Yeah.
No, I did not know that it was affecting me or going to affect me in the future with body image. But now looking back at it, of course it did. Of course it's going to. Like, you know, if you can get through that without having body image issues, kudos to you. But for me personally,
Yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised if someone could go through being literally basically like almost like a sex symbol, right? Where like people are just like sexualizing you at every turn. So like if you like put on any sort of weight, right, or become it at any point not at your peak, people are just going to immediately compare you to your former self. Like that's just miserable, right? Like it's stuff that a lot of people deal with on YouTube. I've talked about it a lot of times when like I always tell people, like, you know, be careful if you want to make your channel like a weight loss type of fitness or fitness channel in general, because people will compare you to your former self. And so if you've lost weight but you started gaining a little bit back, people are going to see that and they're going to say what happened, why, blah blah blah, right? And so it's just very difficult. And so I mean, and that's just such a tiny amount compared to what I'm sure he went through, right? I'm not even trying to compare myself to that because I can't even imagine what that was like.
personally, yeah, you know, being viewed as having this unbelievable body, and it's a lot easier to have an unbelievable body when you're 17, 18, 19.
Well, I was just about to add, it wasn't easy though. Like the diet you were on, the amount of
It
workouts
was my
you had,
entire life.
like you weren't just out of the womb. Here is all of this. Like you had to work so hard for that.
Yeah. In the first movie, I was 140 pounds, and knew.
That's crazy, man. Because I think he's 5'8". He's like my height, 140. When I was at my leanest, I was 180. I weigh like 215 now, right? Like, damn, that's crazy, dude.
When I was 175. So, yeah, I that wasn't my natural body.
Yeah.
I had to work.
I wonder if he meant to say it like that, because I don't know if he took anything, you know, extracurricular, you know, it rhymes with baroids. I don't know if he did. I'm not an expert on that stuff. I wouldn't be super surprised, and that's not a moral judgment or anything. I think people that are in movies, like if you need to gain 30 pounds of muscle for a role, doing that naturally is, you know, especially if you only have a couple years, is just literally not possible. And so who knows? Like, who knows if he was on a cycle and then he decided not to be on it because it's not good for you most of the time, you know, especially to stay on it for a long period of time and then having the rebound of that. But even if it wasn't, right, even if it was just like completely natural, but he was just in the gym two times a day, 6 days a week, and he just didn't want to do that anymore. And then so he gained the weight back because like people were doing like these, I'm sure you guys remember the side by sides of him, like people did of him after the Twilight was over. I don't know. I can't even imagine seeing that.
Very hard for it, and very, very hard just to maintain it. So yeah, when the franchise ended and I started noticing it for the first time when I just started rebelling against a gym. I was forced to be in a gym multiple times a day, 6 days a week, you know, for those years. And I think the first time I started noticing it was being like, I don't ever want to see a gym again.
This is why I always tell people to be careful when they're starting like a new routine, because so many people they'll like do something that's like they're just like grinding so hard, and that's great. Like it's good to, you know, work on yourself, but like you gotta find, at least in that grind, right, when you're in the middle of that really hard section, like you gotta understand that you're probably not going to want to continue to grind like that forever, and so you gotta find the medium in there, right? Find like not the not going too far the opposite way, which is what he kind of talks about, where he just didn't go to the gym anymore, he didn't care. And then obviously you can't stay at this high, and so find the medium, find the middle ground for you, to where like you're going to the gym frequently but you're not living there, right? Again, for everybody it's going to look different, but that's why I don't like to encourage people to just like lose weight as fast as you can and like just do it, right? Because most of the time it doesn't work, and it does have these rebound effects that people have, right?
And you know what happens when you don't want to see a gym is you start losing the 8-pack. And yeah, I feel like I started having more normal of a body. And I remember one of the first times seeing it online was very tough. I was filming a movie called Run the Tide, and my character in that is not supposed to be a bodybuilder or a ripped guy in any way. I thought I looked fine.
You did.
Like, I thought I looked fine. But then seeing it online where they put the side-by-sides of me shirtless in the ocean in a scene from that movie compared to me in Eclipse or whatever.
It's so interesting that he dealt with this, right? Because like if you think of, there's other actors that will do these crazy, like, you know, go from one extreme to another, and like people are totally okay with it. I wonder like what it is, right? I think about Christian Bale, like he's like he's most known for that kind of stuff. But like, I wonder what it is where people are, I feel like because with Jacob, or with Taylor, but he came into the public eye as Jacob, and he was known as the guy that was buff and shredded and werewolf, and like, you know, that was like his whole thing. And so, and then obviously I think it was 3 movies, the Twilight movies, like there was 3 iterations of that, and people just became like, that is him for real, right? And so to feel like, oh, I'm gonna play another role that doesn't mean I need to be a bodybuilder, cool, I don't have to work out as much, and then to see that kind of like, oof, that's rough, dude.
And being like, wow, he's let it all go. I was like, oh man, did I really let it all go? I didn't think I looked that bad. But and then those side-by-sides continued for years and years to come. And yeah. I kept rebelling against, it would come in waves. I'd buckle down again, and I'd get in shape, and then I would let it go, and then I'd get in shape, and then I'd let it go. And that's been something that I've, you know, struggled with over the last 10 years. You know that over the last couple years, I've gotten healthy again, but I think in order to get my body physically healthy, it took my mind getting healthy first. But yeah, those side-by-side images continued for years and years, and it really it messed with me, and it hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, because
I mean, yeah, people did it to be jerks, right? Like,
even to today, when people do the side-by-sides of you, it literally angers me so much, because you look great. Like, you're literally
Thanks, babe.
Comparing a 16-year-old to a 30-year-old.
Yeah, that metabolism doesn't work like it used to.
But I do like what you said about like having your mind, like your mind needed to be there. It needed to be healthy first, because I definitely had a front row seat of watching that happen with you, and you realizing just kind of like the mental state that you were in. And I think a lot of people would attribute like to, oh, I lost weight, I'm confident now. But it was obviously a much deeper issue than just like shedding a couple pounds.
this part is so good.
This has been a part of your life for years, and it's been so cool to watch you go from one of your darkest places to like now you like strut into a room, and like it's just so awesome to like watch you like have grown through that.
Thank you.
So I applaud you.
Yeah, because you were there, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. But yeah, it was a tough journey. I told myself, if I get my body back to where I want it to be, then I'm going to be happy again.
And this is so true, man. Like, I've talked about this meme so many times, but it was like when Instagram was like new. I remember I saw this meme of this, like, it was a chubby person, and they said, I hate myself or something. I wish I was happy. And then they lost weight, and then it said that wasn't it, right? And so many people like truly think that I just need to lose weight and everything will be solved. Like it's not gonna work like that. That does not work, right? So many people feel like just losing the weight will solve all my problems. It won't. It will not. And like if you think that, a lot of times it causes more problems because you end up doing anything you can to lose the weight. So one, you're probably not even healthy, right? Like you're doing things that are unhealthy, but you are giving up social engagement. You're giving up like time with your family or your friends or your spouse or your loved ones or the people that are around you. And you end up alienating all of these people to lose the weight to finally be happy. And then you get down to the weight that you wanted to be at and you're not happy. And so you've done all of these things to push all of these people away. You've hurt yourself, right? And now you're at this position where you're not even happy with the result because that wasn't the thing that you needed to work on. I'm not saying like it's bad to lose weight, obviously, but like you have to understand what it can do for you and what it also cannot do for you because it is not going to solve everything. It's just not.
You found your identity in that. That was where you found value, quote unquote, so to say.
Yeah.
This is right here too. Like I'm pausing a lot now, but like so many people, and I'm sure you can relate to this, some of you at least, that especially if we've been overweight our whole life and we start losing weight and people start recognizing and congratulating you, you start putting your identity in the guy or girl that's losing weight, right? We're like, I'm the person that's losing weight. I am the person, right? Like that's my thing. And like that became my thing for a while. It was like every time I saw someone, oh, how much weight have you lost? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and you become like so engulfed in it and you feel like that's who you are. And I'm not like saying that it's this terrible thing to like, congratulate someone for losing weight, but just be careful when you're in the middle of it to not let it overwhelm you because losing weight is only going to happen for a set amount of time. Like eventually, hopefully you're going to get to a point where you don't need to lose any more weight and you need to switch from that person that's losing weight to the person that's maintaining or just the person, right? And it's really hard to do that for a lot of people.
Maybe not value, but
you need to find value in the right places.
Yeah.
And it's tough to learn, but important to learn that value does not come in what you look like when you look at yourself in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think that. I thought it.
Yeah.
I literally was like, when I get my body back to where I want, all of a sudden something's going to click and I'm going to be super happy.
Yeah. I mean, we'd all be lying if we didn't agree that everyone, I feel like to some degree, puts some value in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about in this podcast. But I really think that the whole thing is worth listening to, so it'll be linked in the description. But I just thought it was a very interesting, it's obviously very different from what I normally talk about, but it's something that obviously a lot of people I just feel like don't talk about. And clearly, not all of us can relate exactly to Taylor Lautner and his experience, but I do think that there are certain things that we can glean from it as well. And so I would love to know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.